Good morning. This morning I want to answer to two questions I received about Samadhi meditation. I already answered these questions in a German video, and for me it is really an amazing experience to do every video first in the one language and then later or the next day in the other language. I record every video in German and in English. And I speak without any script. Basically, I have no idea what I will say. And I recorded the German version already. And then to sit here and to answer the same question again is an amazing experience. Of course, I already forgot completely what I answered in German. And I have no clue what I will say now. And it's really exciting. Some videos I talk for over an hour, and then when I record the other language version, later I noticed that I almost said the same things for over an hour. And I don't know how this is possible. And when I start a video like right now, I have to let go of this wish to do it again, to repeat it. I have to start totally fresh. And maybe now my answer will be the opposite of what I said yesterday. Maybe I will contradict myself totally. I don't know. So for me, this is really an exercise in not knowing, in not doing. Yeah. And that's why sometimes the two language versions are very different. Sometimes they're almost the same, and sometimes they're different. That's just the way it is. And before I answer these two questions about the Samadhi meditation, I want to say something. I want to stress that what I'm doing here is not trying to convince somebody, trying to discuss with you and argue with you that you should do the Samadhi meditation just because I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, so to speak. Yeah, it's the best. That's my experience. But although I want to share my experience, although I want to give you the opportunity to feel me and the result, so to speak, I don't want to convince you. I don't want to argue. This is not necessary, and this is not nice. I believe, and this is my own experience in my own life with myself, that every human being has a compass inside of him or herself. You know what's your way. You know what's best for you. This voice, this knowing, might be very, very subtle, very, very quiet. And maybe you usually overlook this. You don't hear it because life is so loud. Your mind is so loud. Your thoughts and your worries are so loud. Sometimes it's difficult to hear this, but you know. And if you feel attracted to the Samadhi meditation, I think this would be great. And if you feel some attraction, some interest, some curiosity, some openness, then I'm talking to you. And I'm talking to you in this video because it's part of doing this meditation, and that sometimes it gets difficult. Sometimes it feels that it's not working. Sometimes it feels unpleasant. Sometimes it feels you can't do it. It doesn't work for you because you just can't do it. And about these things, I love to talk. And I do this to encourage you and to share my own experience with you if you feel this openness towards this path, towards this meditation. But if you feel that your path is another one, if you feel your path goes into a completely different direction, then of course this is also totally fine. I don't want to tell anybody that you're doing it wrong. I don't want to tell anybody, if you don't do this meditation, you're on the wrong way. This is not my intention at all. Of course, the way I speak about it is very strong, for me, simply because for me, it's the one and only way. But I say this because it is like this for me. Yeah? In my life, this is the way. And in many other people's lives, it is the way. And when you find your way, this is the only way. You can't go any other way. It's the only way for you. And this is how it is for me with the Samarpan meditation. For me, this is the only way. It doesn't mean that it is the only way for you. Maybe the only way for you looks different. And bottom line, I want to encourage everybody to be themselves, to find their own true, authentic way. And all these paths lead to the same goal eventually, even when they look totally different. Yeah, so this is important that you know this. Yeah. So quickly we feel wrong. Yeah, somebody you respect or somebody you like to listen to says one thing, and you have the feeling, yeah, but this is not for me. And then you either think I'm wrong or you think you are wrong. Yeah, and that's not needed. There's no reason for this. Yeah. Soham, my spiritual master, he says the same thing over and over again in his satsang. He says to people who feel like there's a contradiction, he says, if what I say doesn't have resonance for you, it's not for you. Forget it. Just forget it. Then I didn't talk to you. Then I talked to somebody else. Somebody else needed to hear this. That's how Soham said it often in satsang. But then it's not for you. Yeah. And Swamiji, my Indian guru, who is bringing the Samarpan meditation into society, to us normal people, he says the same thing. He says it's not for everybody. If it's for you, wonderful. But you have to find out for yourself. So, whether this is for you or not, I can't tell you. I only can repeat in every video that this is the way for me. And so I talk about my experiences. But if it's for you, you need to find out for yourself. And the way to do this is by just listening to your energy. Yeah? And you can't do anything wrong, If this is your way, but you don't recognize it now, don't worry about it. Life is very stubborn. Life will always bring you back to where you need to be. You don't need to be smart. I did everything wrong in this life. Everything, trust me. I took any detour I could find. Really. Again and again. I knew, okay, this is the way, but this looks nice, let's try this. Yeah, I tried everything. Again and again. I took every detour, I did everything wrong, I lost my way. And life, gently and very stubbornly, brought me back into the right direction. And this is such a good experience. Slowly I learned that I don't need to be smart. I do not need to do it right. If I don't get it now, if I don't see what's right, it doesn't matter. Then I will be shown tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So you can relax. If this is for you, it will come back to you again and again. Yeah. So, I wanted to answer questions and I got sidetracked. I want to read out the first question and I need my glasses for this. Hello, Michael. In the meantime, I have returned to silent meditation. After I got headaches and unrelaxed other symptoms with the Samarpan meditation, as I already did when I did the meditation several years ago. The writer of this letter, it's not really a question, but I wanna talk about it because I find it very interesting. I know the writer of this letter since many, many years, and he wrote that already quite a while ago he tried the Samarpan meditation, and then he stopped after a while because he got unpleasant body symptoms. And then just recently he picked it up again. He heard my videos and he got inspired and thought, oh, maybe it's not, maybe it is good for me. Let's try again. So he tried again and this is the result. He said, I got the same symptoms again, which I already had when I tried the meditation years ago. And I returned to the silent meditation. And there are a few aspects about this I want to briefly touch. And I don't know whether the writer of this letter will listen to this, but I do this because I find, in my experience, this is an issue for many people. For many, many, many people, including myself, by the way. The first thing I want to mention is what he says about the silent meditation. He writes, I returned to the silent meditation. This man comes from another path. He learned a meditation before he came to Samarpan meditation. That's what he calls the silent meditation. For me, the Samarpan meditation is the ultimate silent meditation, simply because you don't do anything. You don't repeat any mantra, you don't repeat any affirmations, you don't meditate on something, you don't keep something in your mind, be it words or an image. quite the opposite. You let go of everything. You let go of the wish to have a good meditation. You let go of the idea, of the imagination that you should reach a certain state of meditation, that you should have a specific experience during or at the end of the meditation. You let go of all of this. You become totally quiet in you. But in this quietness, it gets very loud. Very loud. As soon as you don't give attention to all of these thoughts you usually have, also about meditation, what happens is that you begin to notice the noise in you, which is always there. As long as your meditation includes some sort of doing, some even subtle doing, even some goal, some occupation. In some meditations you say or think a mantra, for instance, but there are all kinds of variations. There are all kinds of techniques which give you some path, some subtle doing in the meditation. And that's a kind of a protection. That's why these meditations had been constructed like this in the beginning. But it's also a limitation. Because it will always keep you where you are. The Samarpan meditation is different. You don't do anything. You are nobody. And then it gets loud. Then you notice how you're occupied with yourself, with your thoughts, all the time. And this is totally normal. Everybody has this experience. Usually it begins with physical symptoms. You sit down. All you do is give your attention to the crown chakra in the Samarpan meditation, to this spot up here. You just direct your attention to this direction and that's it. You let go of everything else. And then a few minutes later, it starts itching here or there or in the back. Your body starts hurting. Your body doesn't want to sit quietly. It wants to move. You feel tickling in the nose. You have to sneeze. You have to cough. And then your spirit gets uneasy and thoughts come louder and louder. As long as you have some sort of occupation for your mind, for your attention, it's easy. But as soon as you really let go of everything, it gets loud and unpleasant. And that's to be expected. This is a good sign, so to speak. Yeah. And the way to deal with this is by very, very gently. That's the only thing you're doing, so to speak. You direct your attention back into this direction, back up here. What your body is trying to do is, your body tries to get your attention. You feel a little tingling, a little itch, and immediately your attention is there. Your attention is not here anymore. It's at the itch, yeah? And that's the game. Your body tries to get your attention back. Your body doesn't like it if you're not giving him or her attention anymore. And the same is true with the spiritual, or with the inner body, so to speak, with the thoughts, yeah, with this I, which sits in you, which is a construct of your thoughts. Your identity, your false identity, that wants your attention. And it comes with all kinds of thoughts, with all kinds of objections, with important things. And then come thoughts where you have the feeling, oh, I must not forget this. This is really good, or this is important. And then to let go of this, not give it attention, and come back with your attention here. That's the only thing we do. So what the writer of this letter describes is how it works. It is exactly like this. That's the reason why so few people meditate. And with meditation, I mean the Samarpan meditation. This is the only meditation I know where you really don't do anything. And the less you do, the louder it gets, the more unpleasant it gets. And if you don't do anything, it gets the loudest. It gets the most unpleasant. It is like this. It's totally harmless. It's only a storm in the water glass, so to speak. I don't know whether this is an English expression. That's from German. I sit here in front of the camera with my legs folded in the half lotus. I can't do a lotus position. My body is too European for this. But a half lotus works. And I find it a very, very pleasant position to sit in. But my body is stiff, and after a few minutes my legs fall asleep, and then I change position. And that's what you see when I move around a little bit, again and again in between. So the way to deal with these experiences, the way I deal with it is, I'm just stubborn. I'm just stubborn and patient. You need the stubbornness to keep at it, and you need the patience to just meditate again and again and again, despite these experiences. Of course, in between, you have lovely experiences. Sometimes you meditate and you begin to feel, that's what Swamiji is talking about. You get a taste of what's possible for you. You're like, that's what Michael mentioned the other day. Yeah, I have this too sometimes. But then, again, the noise, the unpleasant feelings, the unpleasant sensations. And it's, I always say, it's so easy to reach heaven. Because it's easy because you don't need any ability. Nothing is required of you. But you need to be willing to go through this. It's, as I said, it's totally harmless. It's just a storm created by your body and by your mind. But it feels unpleasant. It makes you feel like, I don't want this. I don't need this. Yeah. And eventually, I'm a very pragmatic person. I don't like anything esoteric. I'm very practical. And I know I have to go through this. And you know too. Yeah. When you listen to this, you are at a point where you know this is the way. This is the path. Eventually, I will have to do this. I will have to sit quietly and accept the noise, accept the unpleasantness I perceive. Everything, it's totally harmless. You sit in a quiet room, you're in total safety, nothing wrong. You sit there very quietly, nothing to do, eyes closed. So everything is okay. But inside it feels like, I don't want this. I don't need this. And eventually you will have to face this. Yeah. And knowing this, and that's what I mean with I'm pragmatic, once I know this, I rather do it immediately. I rather do it now. I don't want to spend another 10 years doing a meditation which feels better, but which eventually will lead me back to the point where I'm today. Yeah. Yeah, so what I want to say here is these symptoms are normal. And these symptoms are different for every human being. It's very unique for everyone. I heard of people who get asthma. Other people get other symptoms which sometimes are very strong. Because the whole system rebels. And you may wonder why that is. The Samarpan meditation, as simple and harmless as it looks, you don't do anything, but something does something, but it's not you. When you do this meditation, something is happening inside of you. And what's happening is that you begin to not give your false identity, this I, attention anymore. And quite the opposite, what comes to you with this meditation is that you begin to look into the direction of your true identity, of your, Swamiji calls it, your soul. Jesus calls it the Holy Spirit. This is what you discover when you give your attention here, slowly, over the month, over the years. And this sounds nice and harmless, but what actually is happening is that this aspect of us humans, which keeps us suffering since so many lifetimes, since the beginning of mankind, since Adam and Eve lost paradise, that gets attacked through this meditation. But it gets attacked without you doing anything. It's subtle. It happens by itself. Your ego, your I sense, that what you believe you are, this very strong but false identity in your mind, that begins to crumble when you redirect your attention to the crown chakra. You don't know anything about this, but it's happening. So basically what's happening is that this, what you believe you are, that's what you believe is important, and that's me, that gets attacked. And that tries to defend itself. It wants your attention back, by all means. Yeah. And it tries everything. Maybe it gives you nice thoughts and nice fantasies just to get your attention back. But usually it tries unpleasant things and urgency and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of symptoms to convince you, give me your attention. When you sit down and do the Samarpan meditation, although you don't do anything, you are working on the one thing, on the one and only problem we have as humans. This I, this imagination that I am somebody. You may have heard this in some spiritual videos or somewhere. Yeah, this ego. And we don't know how to get rid of it. But when we do something which will eventually get rid of this ego, what naturally happens is rebellion. And that's what you feel when you meditate, the Samarpan meditation. Yeah, and my way is stubbornness and patience. That's the only thing you need, patience with these symptoms, patience with these sensations, patience with the feeling, this is not pleasant, this is not nice. And that's why I started this video the way I did. I said in the beginning, I don't want to convince anybody. You need to sense in you somehow this motivation to do this must come from yourself in some subtle way. And when you have this, even if it's only subtle, but somehow you know, yes, I know this is the way, then you will be able to muster the patience and the stubbornness to endure this, to go through this. It's harmless. It's not bad. It's not really difficult. Yeah, it's all only inside. It's all only imagination, so to speak. Yeah, your ego, your mind throwing a huge tantrum. But this will, when you have this sense in you, yes, I don't know why, but what he's talking about, or what Swamiji is talking about, this is it, I know it. Yeah, when you have this, no matter how quiet, somewhere in you, then you will find this determination to do this over and over again. And it doesn't last long, It doesn't take a long time until these symptoms get less and less. It's different for everybody, yeah. Some weeks, some months, some years, you will find out how it is for you. But what's needed is this stubbornness. Okay, and if it takes forever, I will not move. I will stay here. again and again, I will pull away my attention from this body, from these symptoms, from these thoughts, and come back here. And just rest here and do nothing. And the next moment, your attention will be caught somewhere else, and then you come back. And the feeling is, I have to do it forever. This will never end. And this is how it feels. It's not true. It gets less and less and less. But it takes time. Yeah. That's why we need this willingness to say, okay, if it's forever, I'm willing. And then it's not forever. But if you don't have this willingness, if you say, no, I don't want this, I know more pleasant things, then you will be forever stuck in that until you are willing to face this. There's no way around it. Yeah. You want to go to heaven, you will want to find heaven, you want to climb Mount Kailash, so to speak. Yeah, that's how the gurus express it. If you want to go up there, you have to go up there. You have to. It requires this, just the willingness to be here and to not move away from this. Yeah. So if this is your path, this is my encouragement for you. If this is not your path, don't let yourself be disturbed by me. Yeah, I speak very strongly sometimes, but not to make your path wrong. But if this is your path, you need strong encouragement, and that's what you get. Yeah. So, the second question. And the second question is a real question. This was not a real question, but I know it's a question for many people, and maybe even for the writer of this letter. So, let's go to the second question. This question came to me from Devaseto. Devaseto is this wonderful man who is doing the Jetzt TV channel, the Jetzt TV website. In English it's, I think, Here Now TV. I'm not sure. I will put it into the comment of the video. And Devaseto did an interview with me, he and 3 of his wonderful colleagues. And this was a great experience. This interview was so much joy for me. And of course, there's also a recording of it, which you find on my website and also on the Jetzt TV website and on YouTube. And after this wonderful interview, Devaseto wrote to me with 2 questions. And I'm so happy to say a little bit about it. And maybe it's even helpful, who knows. And you know, I'm just talking about my own experience. I have to mention this again and again in my videos, that I'm not a guru. Yeah, I'm a disciple. I'm a student. I'm a pupil. And I'm sharing my experiences. I'm sharing my understanding of what Swamiji brings into my life and what Soham brings into my life. And it's my experience that because I'm more like you, my words can sometimes be helpful. Yeah. When you say, when you don't understand what the guru says, maybe the way I put it helps you to be open again. But the real source, the real help, is not me. This is somebody else. This is somewhere else. Yeah. And if you feel it through me, I'm totally happy. Nothing wrong. But if you can just listen to Swamiji, if you can just meditate and meditate every day, and that's all you need to do. Yeah, if you can do this, you don't need me. Yeah. And if you can feel and be open to Swamiji and listen to him, you don't need me. But if I can encourage you to do just that, I'm so happy. Okay, now the second question. Yeah, Devasetu writes, when I want to direct my attention to the crown chakra during the Samarpan meditation, this attention sometimes gets stuck in the third eye. And from there, it is not possible to get it higher onto the head. The meditation of focusing attention on the third eye was one of my favorite meditations for many years, given to me by Osho. And it also did a lot of good for me. Can you tell me something about what I could or should do in the Samarpan meditation when the attention stays with the third eye? This is a great question. Oh, I love this question. The third eye is this spot here between the eyebrows. And usually it is like this, that when we begin to become aware in life, when we begin to become aware of ourselves and how we are, and when we begin to discover that this, what we believed to be reality, me, is not quite it, when there's the first suspicion that there must be something else, the first inclination that maybe what Jesus was talking about is in fact real, there is something, then we begin to become aware of ourselves. And that's usually the time when we begin to make our home in the third eye. I like it like this. That's where we start living, in the third eye. We open up to something new. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's part of the path. This is when your energy rises and your awareness rises. Somehow you have to pass this point. Yeah, and for some time we live there. We make our home there. And most people stay there forever, and most people never go further. And there are two reasons for this. The one is, it feels nice. Once you start living there, you begin to feel good. You begin to feel knowledgeable. You begin to feel you understand. It's like you begin to look through reality. You begin to look through the ego and the challenges of this human existence. You start living in the moment. You discover yourself. All good things. And that's all happening on this level. It's all happening once your third eye opens. You begin to see. And it's a great time in life when this happens. And I said, most people who start on the spiritual path get stuck there and stay there forever for two reasons. The one is because it feels nice. You feel competent, you feel holy, very spiritual. And the other reason for this is that the path further out of the third eye goes up towards the crown chakra. That's what we do in the Samarpan meditation. And that path you cannot open for yourself. I know this is not what people want to believe. Yeah, we live in an age where we think we can do everything ourselves. And when your third eye opens and when you begin to make your home in the third eye, you feel this even more. You feel, I have arrived. I don't need anything. Here I am. But it's not the end. If you stay there, you will come to a point, usually it takes many, many, many years, but you will come to a point where you notice something is not right. I'm going in circles here. I'm still stuck in myself. Only very few people reach this point. Most people are totally happy being here and staying there forever. But it's not the end. Somehow you will come to the point where you notice, this is not it. Somehow I'm still deluding myself. I'm still in a fantasy. I'm still in a maze. Yeah. And you can't come out of it yourself. The path to the crown chakra doesn't open by your own efforts. It's not possible. And for this, you need a guru. And this is something usually people don't want to hear. Yeah? It's so nice to feel that you can do it yourself. And that's why we love the path where we need nobody else. And it leads you to some point. But when you want to reach the crown chakra, this doesn't work. You can't do it. It's not possible. You can't do it. You need somebody else. And that somebody else is a guru or Jesus. Jesus was a guru. I love to mention Jesus when I talk about these things because Western people have an attitude towards the word guru. When we hear this word, inside we're like closing up. No, I don't need this. We think this is something bad. But when we hear the word Jesus, it's like, yeah. He said strange things I can't believe, but somehow there is something about this guy, I love him. You are open to this in some way. And that's why I love to mention Jesus when I talk about gurus, because Jesus was a guru in our part of the world. Yeah. And a guru is somebody who went way beyond the third eye, he went way beyond the crown chakra. A guru is not a person in a body. A guru is basically, Jesus said about himself, I'm God. And at the same time he said, I'm the Son of Man. And what he said, he described what a guru is. A guru looks like a body. And when the guru speaks about himself, he says, I'm just this body, I'm not doing anything. There's nothing special about me. But what flows through the guru is God, infinity, that which you can feel when your crown chakra begins to open. And when you are in contact with a being like this, when you get in contact with a medium of God, so to speak, not God as a person, yeah, with a medium of these God energies. The Indians call it Paramatma. I like this word because it's not so personal like our word God. When you come in contact with such a medium, then suddenly, you don't know how it's possible. You can go from the third eye to the crown. Suddenly it becomes possible. And it happens in such a natural way without you doing anything that some people even don't notice it, that a miracle just happened. You know, they sit down and they get an introduction to the Samarpan meditation and they start meditating and they're just in the crown. And sometimes it gets difficult, sometimes it's easy, but they can do it. And the fact that they are able to do this is such a miracle. But this possibility came to them without their doing. And that's why it's easy to overlook. In reality, it's really a miracle. It's such a gift. This is the blessings of our times we live in. That this becomes possible for you, for me, normal people, us normal people here in this life, that we can experience this now. So it only becomes possible when you open up to something, to somebody outside of you. I mean, of course, in reality, the guru is inside of you, but I don't want to talk esoteric stuff here. I want to keep it very, very practical. Yeah, I'm only interested in practical things, not in esoteric talk. And practically, it feels like, okay, I can do it. And then you get in touch with somebody, he feels like somebody else, this guru, and suddenly something becomes possible in your life, which wasn't possible before. And by the way, this is the reason why Swamiji insists that when people want to start with the Samarpan meditation, that they get an introduction. There are these online introductions happening once a week, where you easily from your home can participate in such an introduction, but there are also on-site introductions in all kinds of countries. Because in this introduction, you get in touch with this guru energy, with this Jesus energy, with this God energy, with this Paramatma energy. You don't notice it. You don't have to do anything for it. And what they do in these introductions is totally, it doesn't feel very spiritual. They just explain to you how it works and how you do it practically, and they tell you where the meditation came from. They tell you a little bit about Swamiji. But what happens is that you get connected to people who are totally full of this themselves, and something, a connection is being made to you. You don't know anything about it, but suddenly you can do this meditation. Before, if you would do this meditation without that, it would just be a technical exercise, but nothing would happen. Yeah. And then suddenly your crown chakra opens, and you can go to the crown chakra and you can meditate. So this is the third eye and the crown chakra and the relationship between these two. So when you meditate, like Devasetu writes. And you meditate and you notice my attention gets stuck at the third eye. First of all, I want to say that this is totally normal. This was our home for such a long time. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with it. And when you feel it's impossible for you to move your attention from the third eye up to the crown, Devasetu writes it so beautifully. He asks, can you tell me what I could or should do? And that's why I made this long speech about how the crown chakra becomes accessible for you. There is nothing you can do. Devasetu asks, what should or could I do? You can't. And that's the hint. If you feel, I can't just get my attention away from here. I can't move it up there. You never were able to move it up there. You never did it. It was never you who did it. Yes, I know there was a time where your attention was here, but not because you were able to do it. And that's the direction. You're there, you meditate, and you notice my attention is stuck here. And the way to deal with this is you let it being done. You can call it surrender. You can say, Swamiji, I can do this. I never was able to do it. You did it the first time, now do it today too. I can do it. And this, I can do it. This, I know where I want to go. I know the path, but I can't walk it. Help me. And then you just become quiet and you accept everything. And that's how it happened the first time. And that's how it will happen now too. We say in the Samarpan meditation that you put your attention here, and if you can do this, this is fine. If right now for me, usually when I do a video, it's totally easy for me. My attention is here, and it's so easy. That's why I love these videos. It's like a meditation for me. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. And then there's nothing you can do other than saying, I can do it. You do it. And that's why Swamiji says, he says, it's not your responsibility how good your meditation is. Swamiji says, it's my responsibility. Yeah. And that's what he's pointing to. You just sit there and you say, okay, that's where I want to go. It's like you can look into the direction of the crown chakra. You're sitting firmly stuck in your third eye, so to speak. And you can look into the direction of the third eye, but you have no idea how to get there. Just look into this direction, know where you want to go, and leave everything else up to somebody else. And who the somebody else is, this is different for every person. I said in one video, this meditation and this path to heaven, this is an emotional path. Yeah, it's emotional because we as human beings, our setup, our psyche, we are emotional. We are not intellectual. And that's why spiritual knowledge doesn't help us much. We are emotional. And we need an emotional way. And an emotional way is, you have somebody you can give it to. That's what we need as emotional beings. Just like, that's why I was talking about children once, yeah? How they do it with mother. And if you are able, emotionally, to love Swamiji, and I can give it just to him, then this is great. But maybe Swamiji is too strange for you, too Indian for you, too guru-like for you. It doesn't matter. Where is your emotion? Yeah, maybe you love Jesus. Maybe Jesus is just God for you. Then you surrender to Him. Maybe it's Soham, my spiritual master. You surrender to Him. You say, okay, I can do this. I know I can do this. But I know you can. You do it. It's an exercise of letting go. An exercise of admitting, I can do this. While you're in the third eye, it feels great because you're very capable. And moving out of the third eye is like feeling, I have no clue. It feels like I leave everything behind which I thought is great and valuable. My knowledge, my abilities. It's like you go into not knowing, into not being able. That's where it's getting really interesting. And in order to be able to, for this letting go, you need the hand of the Guru. You just need emotionally, I'm speaking emotionally right now, yeah? You just need this hand. You need your love for the Guru, for the Master, for Jesus, for God, whatever it is, what is your emotional hand which holds you, which carries you. You need this, and then you can let go. And Devasetu has a second question at the end. He asks, is it useful, even in daily life, when the impulse comes to do so, to draw attention to the crown chakra? Now I love this question even more than the first question of Devasetu. Yes, it is very useful. And it's exactly how Devasetu asks it. When the impulse comes, when you remember, yeah, the crown chakra, I could put my attention back to the crown chakra, then just do it. And the more you do this meditation, in the morning, you do it every morning, with no exception. Every morning, this is the start of your day. And the longer you do this, the more natural it becomes that also during the day, you will remember, yeah, the crown chakra. And you look into this direction, you go with your attention to the crown. And from there, you can do everything. It's amazing, It's not, some people think, okay, it's either this or that. Either I'm doing something or I'm sitting there, not moving, eyes closed, attention here. That's what we do in the first half hour of the day when we meditate. But after this half hour, we get up and we live our day. And then we discover, wow, I can also do this during the day. I can walk, I can cook, I can cut vegetables, I can even program. I'm a programmer, I'm a computer specialist. I can program, which is a very intellectual occupation, but it's no problem. I can be in the crown and I program better than at any other time. Yeah. I'm much more focused and much faster. Yeah. I know much better what to do, what not to do. I waste less time. It's like I'm guided in the mundane things of life when my attention rests in the crown. And Swamiji puts it this way. He says, you meditate for half an hour, first thing in the morning, and then for the 23 and a half other hours of the day, you rest in the crown. just like during the meditation. The only difference is you do things or you sleep. But your attention is in the crown. I made this a habit of mine when I switch off the light at night and I lay in bed and close my eyes. Usually this can be a time of very strong mind activity, but I put my attention to the crown. And with this I sleep. It's lovely. Yeah, I don't want to stop as usual. I love making these videos. I love answering these questions. If you have questions, if as I said in the very beginning of this video, if you somehow know, yeah, this is the right way, this is for me. But if you have buts, yeah, if you have questions, if you have doubts, you can write to me if you like. And I'm totally happy to say something about it, and maybe it's even helpful. Yeah. Yeah, and I would love to do these videos all the time. And I want to mention this now at the end. The only reason why I don't do videos every day is because I don't have time. I'm a normal person, like you. I have to work. I need a place to sleep. I need some food. I don't need much, but I need what everybody else needs for living, just practically. And that's why I work. And I love my work. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. But what I rather would do is videos. All my energy goes there, and all my joy goes there. Yeah. And I get into trouble because, I have to take care of my work. I have to take care that life practically works, that I make at least a little bit of money to pay the bills. But what I really want to do is videos. So in the last few weeks, since I started this project publicly, sometimes I said, okay, one more video. And then I got into trouble. I get stressed. I get, I overtax myself, because I work, and that requires time and energy. And then I do videos, and this requires time and a lot of energy, although it's total fun for me. And then I have to take care of this body, and I need to rest, and I need to take a walk once in a while, and I need to sleep. Yeah. And that's why I ask for support. From the very first video on, I told everybody, if you like these videos, and if you feel like supporting this, please do so. Yeah, there's on my website you find the information about this. Yeah, dianmichael.de/membership. There you can read how it is possible. It's totally easy to give me contributions, small contributions every month. It's done automatically. And if enough people do this, it gives me, if enough people support me in this financial way, I have to work a little bit less, and it gives me a little bit more time for the videos. That's how it works. Yeah, it's just a practical matter. Yeah. And someday, one day in the future, I will do only videos. I will not do other work anymore. I know this. This is where it goes. This is where my joy and my energy goes to. But how quickly I can arrive there depends on how much support I get to allow me to do this. Yeah, just practically. So if you feel like, oh yes, this is something I want to support. I want to support this guy. I want to get more videos. Then you can get the information in the description of this video if you're on YouTube or on my website under dianmichael.de patreon.com/membership. And I'm so happy about every single person who supports me like this, because you help me to do what I love most, and it's these videos. Thank you for listening. Thank you. I love you.